Hello everyone, my name is Lynne, Lynne Azar, A-Z-A-R, and I am a guardian, court appointed in Ohio. I work in several counties, and I have about 20 plus individuals that I am the guardian for. And I wanted to share a little bit about the life of a guardian, the work of a guardian, and the challenges and the rewards of a guardian. I've had the privilege of being a guardian for about a year now, and I'll be honest with you, it's a lot harder than I thought. I thought it was really going to be stepping into a role and just helping these people maintain their current lifestyles or where they were at, and that is not necessarily true. In the process of being guardian, I've had to really learn a lot. I'll be honest with you, fly by the seat of my pants, even though I've done as much research as I possibly can online about guardianship and working with lawyers and other advisors and counselors, physicians, social workers in my network of people that I work with to get as much information as I could in regards to guardianship. I've also spent time getting knowledge and from friends that are nurses in long-term care, physicians that work in different fields, and like I said, social workers that also may be working with various folks with disabilities, getting their input and guidance as the best as I can to make decisions in regards to my wards. Majority of the folks that I have in guardianship have some form of intellectual disability, and they also may have physical abilities, and they also have mental health challenges. And some of them are actually a combination of all those, including being over 60 or over 70. So then I have the aging process included in my guardianship decisions. I think most of the challenges comes with most of them, well, the reason they have guardianship, majority of them do not have family members that are involved. There are a few that have family members, but those family members are dysfunctional and were not considered healthy to be guardians for the person that I am the guardian for. And so then you also have that part where you have persons that would like to give their input in regards to this loved one. And it's not always a healthy relationship. I am also working with my colleagues in my office that assist me and my director, who's been an incredible support for what I do. I am the guardian of the person for the majority of my people, and the director that I work with, my director, is the guardian of the finance, or the estate, we call that, guardian of the estate. A long story short, the previous guardian was the guardian of the person and the guardian of the estate, and it was quite difficult, very difficult, to change all of the banking statements or banking and financial information or financial policies and financial parts or banking especially over to one person. And we were in an interim where my director was a guardian for 6 months before I came on. And so everything was placed in his name. And that process was very difficult, very, very difficult. And so therefore we decided to keep the guardian of the estate in his name, and I would be just the guardian of the person. I think the biggest challenge that I was learning on the fly was the placement of some of these folks. I went to visit several times the first time, and I think the initial placement in many of these folks' lives, that many of them have been placed in long-term facilities or group homes, may have been a great option at the time. But when I went to visit, I really felt that the person deserved a better place to live or a better option. And went through a lot of visitations and care plan meetings to understand what this person needed. And so I proceeded to work through the paperwork and through the courts, the court investigators, lawyers, to get the best advice on moving an individual. And moving an individual is not necessarily an easy thing. It does take a lot of research and a lot of paperwork, and you do have to go to court to move a person. I've had the privilege of moving a couple of my wards out of long-term care facilities that were not, I'll be honest with you, were not the nicest place, to nicer places that I felt that they could really be better served and better cared for. I also think that with that is a responsibility for this person, because many of them also have mental health challenges. So then you have to consider, when you're moving this person to the next place that you're moving them, where will their mental health and their medication management be taken care of, or will the facility be able to handle a person with mental health challenges? And not all long-term care facilities, assisted livings, will take a person with mental health challenges. And that was another thing that I learned along the way. So you really have to develop a lot of great partnerships in the community, which I had previously done in my previous position working with seniors. I had developed a lot of great partnerships with a lot of facilities, and they were willing to take some of my people, knowing they had mental health challenges, but that those mental health challenges were well balanced with medication, and that these folks were not going to be harmful to themselves or to others. So I'm very grateful for the partnerships out in the community. I think the biggest thing also, one of the biggest challenges for me was the amount of emotional, psychological, mental health support that I would have to give to these wards. They are very needy and in need, and need someone that will visit them from the outside world. Many of them, family members, have distanced themselves or have passed on. Some of my wards have no family, and therefore I am the only person that is available to them for their birthdays, for holidays, and that is also very challenging for me, to constantly be on call and try to spend quality time with these folks as much as I can. With the 20 plus people that I have to divide my time accordingly every month to visit them. And I try to give as much time as I can to these folks. And it's not always easy. My position is also 24/7. I get calls from facilities, or if they go to emergency rooms, I can be called while I'm out to dinner with friends or family or on holidays, or if I'm away, I can get phone calls. And that's okay, because someone has to make decisions for these folks. And those decisions aren't always easy either. Recently, I had to work with a family in guardianship, and we placed a particular person on hospice. And that was challenging. I worked with this particular person. I've known this person that I became the guardian for many years, until she declined. And after she declined, she went from assisted living to long-term care. Her mental health also declined, and she became very difficult and challenging to work with. Many long-term care facilities do not have staff, nurses or STNAs, CNAs, or aides in general that have been trained to handle someone with severe mental health challenges. And I think that's something that we need to work on currently. In our long-term care facilities, I really believe we need to provide mental health care training for staff. But that's another story. I was able to work with the hospice agency, and then I also planned this person's funeral, went to the funeral home, took care of everything, and stayed with this person to the very end, and even sat with this person as they were passing away. That was challenging. That's not what I was expecting. It was very hard to be the person or to be with a family or be with a person when they're dying. I think also it's very hard to be the only person that these people know that they call and need emotional support, need encouragement if they're having a bad day, if they don't like where they're living. So I become the complaint department too. It takes a lot of mental energy, emotional energy, and physical energy. I spend a lot of time in my car, driving, and doing visitations, going to appointments, doctor's appointments, and trying to keep track of the multiple health agencies or other agencies that are involved with this person's life. I think guardianship needs to be planned for. Guardianship is so important. If you are caring for someone who is in their 20s or younger, you need to realize that this person is going to get older. They're going to be 50, 60, 70, maybe 80 years old, 90 years old. And that you need to make sure that you're looking long term to where this person is going to be if you're no longer able to care for them. You also need to do paperwork, and you need to have wills and powers of attorneys and healthcare power of attorneys and living wills. And you have to have a notebook. I'm starting from scratch. I don't know what some of these people, some of the wards, what their favorite colors are, their favorite foods, their favorite shows, their favorite movies, their favorite restaurants. What do they like to do? I'm starting from scratch. Their favorite snacks, their favorite candies. Things to consider that you should always keep in mind that these people are people, and somebody needs to know, somebody needs to have a record of their existence and the record of the guardian of the person, the who they are. And I think that's been one of the hardest things is their history. Many of them, I came on as a guardian, I don't have a lot of history. So then I have to really spend time and go through files to understand where they were born, where did they go to high school, did they work, did they have friends, did they have favorite relatives, do they have stories, do they have photos. I think that's one of the saddest things for me is many of these folks don't even have photo albums. So they don't even have pictures of their history or their family. One of the things that I regard that I have, having cared for an elderly parent with Alzheimer's dementia, having photos of family was so important to that person. So please, if you are a guardian, either keep it digitally, create a digital photo album or a print photo album, so that these people can tell their story of where they came from and who they are and where they lived and what holidays they celebrated. Did they go to church? Were they Catholics? Were they Jewish? Were they of no faith at all? Things like that are very helpful. I also think, keeping track of their mental well-being. What kind of facilities have they been in? What kind of mental health did they get along the way? And how can we help them in the future? I even want to know the things that I had to learn was, do they drink coffee? Do they drink tea? Do they like Dunkin'? Have they ever been to Starbucks? Have they ever been to Chick-fil-A? Little things like that makes a big difference for someone who comes on as a stranger to be the guardian of this person. And so I spend a lot of time trying to get to know them. I think it's really important also to understand their mental well-being and their physical well-being. We've had to really help many of our wards with eating issues and health issues, obesity, overweight, to understand eating healthier. Some of my folks are older adults who were never truly diagnosed with being on the autism spectrum, because that really wasn't a part of their history. And I would definitely say that probably many of these folks have some type of autism spectrum disorder. They're very picky about foods and clothing. And so I think that's another thing that you may want to make sure that if your person has certain special needs, that's written down. Because you want to be able to, whoever's going to care for this person in the future needs to know these things. Very, very important. I'm learning to, like I said, reach out to other professionals in the area, social workers, and their physicians, to make sure that in paperwork, discuss their diagnosis, especially if they're aging. Was dementia or Alzheimer's, any type of cognitive decline was ever mentioned, in case a placement needs to be made for them in a memory care unit. And I cannot place them in a memory care unit if these medical diagnoses have not been made or placed in their charts. So I'm learning a lot this year. I've learned a lot in regards to various medications. Many of them are on multiple medications. And we've done our best to see if we can take them off some of the medications and help them live healthier lifestyles. And to live active and not to be heavily medicated, if it's possible. Some days I get frustrated, I get discouraged, just like you do, as parents or family members taking care of somebody, because I have a high moral and ethical code to make sure that I'm making the right decisions on their behalf. And I think it's so important that you, as the current caretaker, the current caregiver, the current parent or family member, to please make every effort to do your best to make decisions in regards to this person, but also leave a notebook or notes or Google Documents. You can do it digitally now. You can even leave recordings behind. Videos. You can, video yourself. Many of the wards would love to hear their family's voice again, or see videos of birthday parties or last vacations, or many of them would love to see the pictures of when they had Christmas together or Hanukkah or any other special occasion. And they don't have those memories. They don't have an opportunity to relive those memories. So I'm going to ask you to please make sure that you create photo albums and videos, like I said before, for these people as they get older, that you store them, that you keep them safe. I think it's also important that as a guardian who's been appointed by the courts, and I'm doing my very best to help these people, that the courts are doing their best also. They're overloaded, and they're going to try their best to appoint guardians for these people. Do your best to talk with your family members, extended family members that might be younger. Maybe they have a cousin, or they have a family member that as they age, that are younger, that may be willing to take over and maybe there's a niece or a nephew or someone that'd be willing to be there for them in their 70s and 80s, to continue to visit them. And I think that's so important, to have a family connection. Like I said, many of the folks that I'm caring for do not have family left. And we don't even know who some of the extended family are. And if there's extended family, they may be cousins, but they weren't very close to those cousins. Keeping track of the family tree so that we can reach out to family members. Huge. It would be so huge. It's important to also understand that many of them have not been left financially well. Some of them are going to be on the SSI with disability, and so their Social Security will take care of them and pay for them and help pay for their care. And some families did leave behind trusts, and I'm grateful for that. And the trusts will do our very best to honor the family's wishes and care for that person to the end, and also make sure that the family has entrusted us with that financial trust to care for this person and make decisions on their behalf. And most of us, the guardians, we will do that. As a guardian, I cannot spend that person's money, and I cannot just access their accounts. Many of the trusts, if you want to use the money from the trust, you have to go through the courts to get permission to use that money. So really, it's important, if you can set up a trust for your person, I really would encourage you to do that. And talk to your lawyers, talk to banks. And I think it's so hard. You're in the thick of it right now and caring for this person as they're younger. But someday that person will be older, and they will need assistance from various agencies as they age. So I want you to consider that. And I want you to consider, if you pass away as the parents, where is this person going to continue to live? Are they very invested in their community, in their faith, in their church, in their work? Are they going to be in a group home? Are they going to be in a long-term care facility? Are they going to live with family? Are they going to live in an apartment on their own? Maybe they're capable. I have a few wards that are still capable of living in an apartment on their own, but just need guidance along the way. Things to consider. I just wanted to share some of that with you today. I hope you're all encouraged. Be encouraged. You guys are doing amazing work out there as caregivers for people with disabilities of various levels and much for listening.